turning back.
Beautiful. Welcome to the Last Boy Scouts podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tyler Clark.
And I'm Danny.
Danny,
Yeah.
It's been, we skipped a week.
We did.
Skipped.
It was crazy.
It was.
Preston texted me and said, "Hey, did I miss something?" We got in the car to listen to our podcast and no podcast. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
for the
you're-
people that don't have social media.
Get on social media, Preston.
Come on, Preston. He has social media. I'm sure he just doesn't check it.
Yeah, no.
But
Good
yeah,
for
we
him.
took that week off. We had a couple weeks to prepare for men's ascent, and then we had birthdays. It's funny because your birthday's the 26th, my birthday's the 27th, and we broadcasted about how it was going to be on my birthday, and then I was like, wait, I know Tyler's birthday is close to mine. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Two of my really good friends, you and then another one of my good friends, are both in September. And I was thinking, we always made comments about my birthday, but never about yours. And I was like, I wonder if that was by choice or by purpose.
The design.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Birthdays for me, I don't remember a lot of them.
Same.
Right. I remember some of them, some of the really good ones, but yeah, for me, it's just like at this point in my life, like I think my kids wished me happy birthday like halfway through the day. So I'm just like, it's just another day.
It was my goal to be one of the first, if not the first, to sing you happy birthday.
You were. Yeah. You woke me up that morning. No, you didn't wake me up because I had to get the kids for school. But you were one of the first.
Yeah.
One of the first.
I remember I'm the same way. My family, they always they chastise me because I don't remember hardly any of my birthdays like you. I just don't. I don't remember any of them. But I got a fake ID when I was 16. That was my 16th birthday present. And so even when I turned 21, I had already been going to the bars for like 5 years, And so I went to the bar for my 21st birthday, and everybody was like, "What in the world is wrong? You're boring." And I was like, well, birthdays don't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
In the last couple of years, I've tried to make it a point to call each of my nieces and nephews and then reach out to my friends and be like, "Hey man, happy birthday. I appreciate you."
Yeah. I do have to take it back. So my former mother-in-law, Claudia, she's been listening to the podcast.
Oh, good.
She did call and wish me a happy birthday a week early.
Oh,
so she technically was the first. So Claudia, thank you.
Yeah, Claudia, nice. You beat me to the punch.
Beat
Nice.
you by a week.
Good for her.
But she's got a lot. She does the same thing. She's very good at calling all of her grandkids, which there's over 30 now. So
wow,
she does it.
It's a good skill set, I think. Like giving thanks to showing somebody that you care about them is a good skill. I think you do a good job with you do a really good job with Christmas. I know that we've been around Christmas. You do a really good job with your kids' birthdays, and then Bryn's graduation was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't the birthday. We I take Misty somewhere for her birthdays, and we ended up going to Vegas.
Oh yeah.
For the week before my birthday, which is kind of why we couldn't podcast that weekend, because we had men's ascent, so we couldn't leave that weekend. But we ended up going to Vegas the week before. It was like an impromptu. We were going to take the bus.
So a little peek behind the scenes. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but like that little peek behind the scenes, right? We record the week before we actually release, so we have some time to work the magic on it. But you were in Vegas. You took the bus.
No, we were going to go camping.
We did have that event in the bus.
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
That's part of the part of the magic of the last 3 weeks.
That's right. You and I were going to go sauna.
Yeah,
and bus.
We got stranded. I had to hook it.
Yeah.
And the tow truck driver was not impressed.
No, he wasn't. And man, that was a crazy day because you had to get cozy, and Misty had to run out and save us. And what a day. That's right. I forgot that even happened.
Yeah.
I think we've got most of the quirks worked out in the bus. I think we got a couple more things that we need to do before we put it away for the winter.
Yeah.
And then and so we ended up going out to Vegas. We just got a plane ticket and flew out there, and
nice.
It was nice.
Nice. Where'd you guys stay?
We stay at the South Point.
Okay.
Shout out to the South Point. I think it's a good place. That's where my boys would wrestle.
Oh, okay.
It's at the very end of it's at the very end of Vegas.
Like the Luxor side or the north side?
It's at the very end of Vegas.
So very end of Vegas.
Henderson.
Okay.
You're right at the edge of Henderson.
Not on the strip at all.
Not on the strip at all. So it's good. It's got everything that you need.
Yeah.
It's got a rodeo arena, and that's what
Cool.
I kind of like to go watch those things. We so we stayed there, and it's got a good pool. It was a good day. It was a good trip. We had a good time. We will not fly Spirit again. I know that.
Yeah.
Have you ever rode Spirit?
No, I hear they take plane volunteers, like pilot volunteers.
Yeah.
In the plane. Hey, pilot didn't show up, or he was too drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too drunk, and we need somebody. Did they ask you to fly?
No, but Spirit. I've flown Delta. That's kind of what I mean. You fly Delta.
Yeah.
It's so easy in Salt Lake because
it's everywhere.
Yeah, and Delta's great. You get mileage. I got miles, so I can upgrade when I want.
Right.
But it was kind of interesting. Like we bought the plane tickets, and then I bought. You have to buy your seats. Then you have to pay for your bags. And I was like, well, this is good.
Should have flown Delta. Should have flown Delta.
And so the only 2 seats available are the right in the front. So it's like almost first class. So we get there, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I actually drove home to Heber, grabbed Misty, turned right back around, and went to Salt Lake. And we were like, well, we only need about an hour.
Yeah.
No, we didn't have any bags to check. We get in there, and the line, the security line is whoa.
And they broke the airport.
It was going to be a long day if we didn't get on the flight, right?
Yeah.
So we get all the way through, and we stand in security, and we're like, okay, we're so close. Okay, we're about got 30 minutes. We've got 30 minutes. So we're like, okay, we're gonna have to run. Get there, and when we're going through security, the lady says, "This says you need a paper boarding pass."
No.
And we look, and we're like, "What? No, we have our boarding passes on our phone." She goes, "It says you need a paper boarding pass." And of course, Misty's just her color drains from her face, and I'm like, well, let's see what we can do. We run upstairs, get a boarding pass. Takes them for a minute to get our boarding pass, and now we run downstairs, and we're like, we can't stand in security. So we convinced the guys to let us go through the priority boarding. We get in, and I have protein. I have all my stuff in my bag, and Misty's like, take it out. And I'm like, I can't throw this away. It's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And so they didn't even check us, but man, we are running through Salt Lake Airport, and you have to go underneath.
Yeah.
It was so frustrating.
You're like, where is Concourse C? Like, it's not even built.
Gosh. And we get to the very end, and luckily the plane was a little bit delayed. So
yeah.
The flight attendants were awesome. They were cool. They talked to us and gave us a drink.
Oh, that's
kind of cool. Yeah.
Nice.
But on the way back from Vegas, it was another nightmare. Spirit. I appreciate playing, economy like that. I appreciate that, but I'm not going to fly. I'm going to fly Delta.
It's the Greyhound bus of the sky.
For sure.
Yeah.
It was okay. It was
a trip.
It was a trip. Yeah, we had a good time. We had a really good time. How about you? You had some other stuff going on, right?
I had Cozy's birthday.
Oh, that's right.
So September is birthday month for me and my youngest Cozy.
Mm.
And so she was with her mom, and I set up a big happy birthday Cozy sign.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the lawnmowers came and took it out.
No, they did not.
I was like,
what?
Yeah. I had to mow the lawn. I'm like, September 21st, we're mowing the lawn still.
Yeah. And you didn't see the sign?
She did see it. She did get to see it. It didn't stay up as long as I would have liked, but.
How old did Cozy turn?
She turned 11.
She's so funny.
Yeah.
And she likes to give me a hard time.
She is just a fireball. I think it's because she's been picked on by Ben and by Bryn. In her heart of hearts, she's really sweet.
She is.
She's not very nice to my friends, and we're working on it.
And she is. And Ben was like, she's offense first, and she was just she was teasing me. She wrapped my present.
Oh yeah, she did. I asked her. I was just getting stuff done, and I asked her to wrap your present, and she's like, do you want me to be nice or mean? And I was just kind of wanted to see what she said. If I said be mean, I was like, hey, Danny said he was going to wake me up with a punch to the face. So you do with that what you will. So she used a whole roll of tape.
She did.
She was pretty proud of it.
She was proud of it. Yeah, we at Men's Ascent, she said, "Kay, you got to make sure you open in front of me." And it took me a minute.
Yeah.
But then I figured out I could just get an edge.
Yeah.
Open the edge and take it out, but
slide it out.
Yeah, That was good.
Ben's Ascent.
What do
Yeah.
you think?
Oh man, super nervous to host our first event, but at the end of the day, we've got such great feedback. We got such great feedback that they actually want to do another class. So
Yeah.
I'm meeting with the team at Mountain Elite. Special thanks to them for hosting.
Crystal Joy is awesome.
Yeah.
She has such a good energy, right?
Yeah.
That was the first time that her and I had met, and it was interesting because she said, "You and I have never met, but we have close friends."
Yeah.
And so she said, "I'm giving a client a massage, and I'm telling her about the men's ascent, and I mentioned Danny."
Yeah.
And the lady goes, "Oh, you're gonna love him. You're gonna love him." And she said, "I haven't even told you who it is." She goes, "I know who it is, and you're gonna love him." And I said, "That's great. That's a good compliment to have that,
Yeah.
And she said, "Yeah, and I can tell. You're awesome." And I was like, "Thank you." We never met.
Right. Did she call you Love?
She did.
Yeah. She calls everybody Love. So.
Yeah. She has a really cool presence about you could see she just has a cool presence about herself.
Oh yeah, she was really grateful for the opportunity to host. She helped get a lot of people in the door, so it was great partnering with them. And then the catering after was fantastic. I love the food. I love to support a new truck. I don't know if the next event will have food.
Yeah.
I don't know if it added much value. A lot of the guys just wanted to take off after. And
yeah, they were done.
I mean, that's fine. Again, just wanted to help another local business, another local food truck, get their name out there. And, happy to support other local businesses. It's, a gratitude thing, right?
Sure.
Pay it forward. She is helping us. And so.
Yeah. And her space is great.
Oh.
That's the first time I've ever been in there. And if you are, Tyler said this a couple times.
Yeah.
If you're looking for anything to take your significant other, you're looking for something yourself, her space is really, really good.
Right.
When you walk in, you're like, oh, this is amazing.
One of these days we'll have to go sit in the salt room.
Yeah. She was telling me about it.
Yeah.
The little rooms that she had, and then that little where we were at is with the men, that was kind of like, it was really cool. It was just the right size for the group that we had. If any more, 2 or 3 more, we might have been a little bit crowded, but I think we would have made do with it. We do a good job of feeding off of each other and giving each other space. And so I felt like they had a good experience. I think that they didn't know what to expect. So you start down this road of like this sadness of why you're there, and then we kind of like no. We have these things, but let's talk about how we can be happy about what we have, and it was good.
Yeah, we got a lot of good feedback about the breath work. I sent out some homework for those that attended. Make sure you check that email because there was some homework in there. Ask yourself the question, what did your father think masculinity was? What did your mother think masculinity was? Start documenting what do you really think it means? I mean, it wasn't until I actually put pen to paper that I really kind of fully understood, what are my thoughts around what masculine is? What is masculine, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard when you want to be around other people because you don't want to seem soft, right? You could see that there was all aspects of our life. I ended up talking to one of those young gentlemen, the youngest of the group.
Yeah.
No, Trip was probably the youngest of the group, but one of the other men, and he's like, this is what I need.
Yeah.
This is what I need. He goes, I don't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to go about it. And I think that's a common theme. And a lot of it is just being open.
Right.
Like we're not always, sometimes we're playing a role.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're posing. Sometimes we're like, we're not fully engaged in our journey, and we may be just posing, but we're always open for more and for other input for you to give me that I can get better with and I can use. Right. And that's part of it is opening the door. You do need a set of
you need a set of good close friends that you can run criticisms by, right? Like if you can't handle somebody else's criticism, especially a close friend, and that makes you triggered, you really need to discover why that is. What parts of you are you trying to hide? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. I thrive from the feedback I get, and it was interesting. I had my psychological exam for the,
Oh yeah,
the police academy, or for the Wasatch County Sheriff here. And I mentioned to the therapist, the psychiatrist that I was meeting with, I go, myself awareness is kind of my highest currency. And he was like, kind of looked at me and he's like, yeah, I've never really thought about it that way. And I go, my ability to kind of look at and I haven't always been this way.
sure,
I'll be the first to admit, I haven't always been this way. I've definitely hidden a shadow or two, especially as I was younger. So, a young husband, a young father, I didn't know I had so much ego and so much pride I needed to protect.
sure.
And he was like, "Yeah, that's a really interesting way. You mind if I steal that?" And I'm like, "Go right ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
Go right
But
ahead."
the hashtag Tyler Clark.
Yeah. Just tag us on
Yeah,
Instagram or wherever you share it.
yeah, and that's part of it is like, as we go down these paths, we're constantly evolving, we're constantly growing, we're constantly learning. We have, and I have my set things. We talked about this.
Mhm.
I have my set routine.
Mhm.
Um, I've reinvented my breathing
Mm.
program. I, I've really put some effort into learning from some people about breathing and why we breathe.
Yeah.
And I've been practicing it a lot in the last couple of weeks. I took a class and I've read a book that was recommended to me, and it changed my outlook on some things. And that's what we talked about at the men's ascent was fight or flight.
Yeah.
The nervous system and and how it works,
Yeah.
right? And when you're questioning like what's next or what can I do, that's a good place to start.
Absolutely.
Those nervous systems that we talked about those things, they don't lie.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I mean, I made a social post about this a little while
Yeah, you
ago.
did.
The four principled realities, right?
Yeah,
That life is inconsistent
sure.
and unpredictable. Right then and there, we should know that we have to, one, be gentle on ourselves, two, understand the messages that our body's telling us. We're all going to get stuck in traffic. We're
Sure.
all going to, deal with some sort of life-changing event. Today we're gonna dive into the topic of death,
Sure.
and we all face it. It's a natural part of life, but it does tend to be one of those kind of catastrophic life events.
Yeah.
And then there's like larger stressors, right? The larger stressors, which are, um, things like war
Mhm.
or, a school shooting or like things that affect,
Sure.
a large group of people,
Yeah.
right? We all need to just come to grips with the reality that we're going to get stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
We can't, there's going to be somebody that's going to cut us off on the road,
Yeah.
right? What do we do with that? What
Yeah.
are we feeling in our bodies when, that person cuts us off? Cool. You're going to be mad? Great. I mean, that's fine. It's okay to be mad. Those feelings, they're not the end all be all, right? They're a means to an end. They teach us, what it's our body telling us a message, right? We are not our feelings.
Right. Yeah, it's true. Today I got honked at in Park City,
Oh yeah.
and man, it almost excited me to a point where I was like, yeah, I kind of want to go follow that guy.
Yeah. I mean,
But I had just been wrestling, and
we've all been there. You get amped up, right? You
yeah,
get all amped up. And I've certainly had times where I've done just some absolutely boneheaded
yeah.
stuff behind the wheel. Who am I to think that I'm a better driver than anyone else?
That's what I
right?
thought. I was like, can't you see what I was doing? Then I was like, maybe he didn't understand what I was doing. And then I
Yeah.
was like, what is wrong with you? What
Yeah.
are you? Because I was like, I got a little excited. I'm not going to lie. I was like,
Right.
in my head, I had already played out what was going to happen.
Right. And I mean, it's so funny because like I just took my son Ben to get his learner's permit.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And I'm reading the test. I'm like, what do I actually remember from the test?
Yeah.
I'm like, the red light's the one you stop for. The green one is the one you go for.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like, okay, I don't, I remember a lot of it, like merge and like those kind of things. You follow the signs, the speed limits and stuff like that. But like, we have this like code of rules, but how well do we really
How
know?
well do we remember it? Yeah. And then we're like, well, I know this. And so I'm always critiquing
Right.
everybody else. Right. And that's those things, like Tyler's saying, those little triggers, those things that we all know we have. You just have to have a set of rules that you address yourself with each of those triggers. Like, okay, what can I do to calm myself down?
Right.
I have been training really hard the last couple of weeks, like really hard.
Mm.
I've had some mindset, some goals that I wanted to do. I've accomplished a couple of those things, and it's allowed me to reflect on my journey with jujitsu.
Mm.
It's allowed me to open up my eyes about the fact that like what jujitsu actually has done for me in my own personal life. Because I have, like I've said before, I have been a hothead before.
Mhm.
Um, but when I train hard, we trained really hard on Sunday. There was um, three black belts and
Oh,
4 brown belts, and just it was just insane. But you could just feel the energy, right? And everybody was kind of like, you could tell that everybody kind of had brought their A
yeah,
game,
yeah,
right? And I remember thinking, this, if you could just bottle this up, if you could just show this to somebody and be like, eventually you're going to get here.
yeah.
But if I was to look at it from the outside, I would be like, I would be terrified.
Right.
I'd be terrified because it just looks like just a bunch of animals,
Oh, yeah.
And so, I want to think that like it would help a lot of people, but I don't know. I don't know if it's in everybody's genetic code or gene pool, or sorry, they're in their wheelhouse to see the benefits of something like that,
Right.
right? Because it's
Right.
not. It's barbaric at times,
Yeah.
right? You have all
Oh,
these monsters in there, and it's. I'd like to think that that could help people, right?
yeah,
But I
yeah,
do know this. I do know that if you have an avenue like that, if you find an avenue like that, it helps.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be what you and I talk about. It doesn't have to be that kind of stuff. But we have
Mm.
some basic stuff that we talk about that I think like would help a lot of people. And that's what, going back to Men's Ascent, that's what those guys were like. I
Huh.
really like that.
Yeah.
It was so simple.
Something to just focus your mind on.
Something, because I can't. I mean, like that's an advanced class on Sunday, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What we did on the Men's Ascent was like a very basic
Yeah.
introduction of what
Little
we
sip.
do.
Little
It was
sip.
it was a little sip, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's how you engage people. That's how you get them coming back.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's throwing them to the wolves. I think that if we would have went in there and taught all this crazy stuff, we might not have got.
You didn't like my notes. Yeah, I wrote some pretty epic notes just because I wanted to. One, I just you get on a groove and you're just like, you just like
Yeah.
blasting it out. And you're like, okay, maybe the big picture will dial it back. So yeah.
It kind of was mind opening for me of like, all right, my journey is a little different than Tyler's journey in
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu, right? Where I'm at in my career, or my journey of jiu-jitsu is a little different than yours.
Yeah.
But I can always bring you to the very basics of what it can do for you, just like breathing, just like your
Mhm.
meditation wheel. I love the meditation wheel. That's one of the greatest things. It's hard if you get your mind wandering,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you kept bringing it back, and so
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is really really good. This is good information
Yeah.
for our audience, and I hope to bring more men out. I hope to get more
Yeah.
men involved. I think that those people will tell how great our
Yeah.
they'll broadcast for us. They'll be our biggest
Yeah. Word of
thing.
mouth, I think,
Yeah.
is the best way we grow. Well, should we get into it? Should we get into the topic?
Should we?
It's October, so we're gonna deal on the macabre.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when was your first experience with death?
So I share a birthday with my dad's mom, and her name was Effie. She
Effie?
Effie.
Love that.
I know, it was really cool, and she loved me,
Mm.
But we had to share. We shared a birthday, and she passed away at a pretty early age of mine. She passed away pretty early, but I remember like being really sad.
Mhm.
But everybody around me was sad, and I was like, "Is that how you're supposed to act?"
Right.
Because like I remember like thinking also like I really loved her.
Yeah.
I didn't. I couldn't cry,
Yeah.
but I was thinking, "Am I supposed to cry? Am I supposed?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember like being a little confused about that.
Yeah.
She was awesome. She was great. She didn't like to speak. She didn't like her kids and her grandkids to speak Spanish, but she hated to speak English.
Mm.
And so it was a weird thing. So she would talk to us in Spanish and what little English she knew. And I remember thinking, I can't wait to talk like that, but I never learned Spanish enough.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I can remember.
Yeah.
about death.
How old were you think?
Maybe 16.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. I
maybe
mean, that was
16.
about the same for me. My mom's father passed away from cancer. And I think he was the first dead person that I actually like saw. We did the funeral and like, you sit in the room and like I do remember being very like I was sad.
Sure.
And I remember seeing I have a cousin and an uncle that I'm very close with. We're, a few months apart. And I remember seeing my uncle just like he was, 6 months older than me. And he was obviously it was his father, right? Like he was very upset, visibly crying and like very, very upset. And I wanted that for myself,
Yeah.
but I didn't. I mean, I guess I don't know if it was because I didn't have the same relationship or if like I just didn't understand the gravity. But he was the first dead person that I actually saw. And
Yeah. Same. I remember like thinking um, when I seen my grandma that I was like, I don't ever want to do that again. And
right,
I don't,
right,
I still to this day don't really go. We'll go to funeral things, but I'm not like,
yeah,
I'm not up there trying to look at that thing. I don't really
yeah,
much care for it. Right.
yeah.
When my grandpa died, her husband, he was, he was the greatest man I ever knew.
Why is it that our default position on death is sad
I
and grief?
yeah,
I mean, I don't want to diminish anybody's like
sure.
I understand you're mourning the relationship and it's our brain's inability to like they can't categorize that person not being in anymore. And what I know about our brains is like once you burn those neural pathways, they're there forever. And it's our brain's way of kind of handling the hurt or the
Sure.
loss, right? So that's why we grieve. That's the importance of grief.
Hmm. So I read a book on death. It's interesting because humans are the only living being that can think about their death,
Hmm.
create their death,
Mm-hmm.
see their death, like, and they can like you and I can go
Yeah.
like, okay, I could die like this.
Right.
We
Right.
can
Be the
actually,
cause
we
of
can be the
their.
cause. We can
Yeah.
we can think about it. And what it said is that so what happens is you put yourself there
Uh-huh.
as the person dead, right?
Yeah.
And then you think about your family members grieving over you.
Yeah.
So it makes you sad because you're like, oh man, one day I'm going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is real. Which
It
is
puts you in touch with your own mortality,
oh,
right? Okay. I mean, yeah, that's very interesting because I know we're not the only species that mourn, right? Like
sure.
there are, I think, primates that carry their dead around until a certain period, and then they perform whatever ritual that they have.
Yeah, you and I may have like at times thought of our children or
Oh
our
yeah,
wives or
yeah,
our parents or people in our lives that we care about, like how we would feel if they passed, right?
right,
And so that even in itself is like where you're like, whoa, don't think like that.
right,
I can't think like that. But
right.
the thing is it's not like we're not going to.
Yeah, yeah. We're
When I was a kid, I was terrified of dying.
yeah,
Terrified. It would give me panic attacks. I would get so scared, like
mm,
I'm gonna what? I'm gonna be here tomorrow one day.
yeah,
And I remember thinking, what's gonna happen when I'm 90 years old and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not gonna be here. And I would sit up all night and think
yeah,
about it and I would be terrified. And I remember thinking, like, why are you so afraid of it? My mom, she tells me all the time, like Native Americans, they don't they know they're dying. They're like
mm,
when they were in war, they were like, man, I want to die.
mm.
The greatest death would be in battle.
Right, right.
Right.
Like same with the Vikings,
Yeah.
right? When I go to, you want to die and
I want
go to
to I want to
Valhalla.
go to Valhalla.
Yeah,
Yeah. And she'd be like, like, you're going to die. Yes.
yeah,
But your legend, who you are as a person is going to live on.
hmm,
And I think about that too. I think about that now. Like, I want to be like a legend.
yeah,
I want people to be like 5, 6, 7 generations down from me and
yeah,
still talk about me.
yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I got into the MMA cage because I
Oh,
wanted my
yeah.
kids to say, oh, my dad
Oh
did
yeah,
that.
he's done that. Yeah. Yeah, that's super interesting, man. I remember too in high school seeing the faces of death videotape
Same.
coming around. And that was a little bit more scarring because I think that was a little bit more traumatic.
Yeah.
There's certain trauma that comes with death. For those of you who know me, know that I served a mission in the Mormon Church, and on that Mormon mission, I was involved in a car accident. We rolled 4 times in the middle of nowhere, Great Falls, and while I don't 100% remember the whole story, I've read the police report, and according to the police report, I did CPR for a significant period of time on this young man, and unfortunately, he didn't make it. I woke up in the hospital and was told he didn't make it, and I was completely shocked.
Mm.
And I think that was my closest experience with death.
Mm.
Right, my own mortality. But even to this day, I don't know if it's because I don't, I don't remember a lot of it. It's not like I get sad.
Sure.
I honor the service that young man was doing, and I certainly, my heart goes out to his parents that he was called home, or left this mortal plane so early. But I just don't. For whatever reason, I've never really contemplated my own mortality. I still kind of feel like I'm invincible. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Man, that's heavy, huh?
Yeah.
So not to go too much into details, because I know about this story.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time you told me, I remember thinking, what?
Yeah.
I remember one thought I had was how easily you told me the story.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I can't tell if it really did bother you, or if you had been able to compartmentalize it enough throughout your life to be able to be like, hey man, like this happened,
Yeah.
I did personally put myself in your shoes.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, how would I feel if I had done that?
Yeah.
How long did you serve? How long were you guys together?
So the interesting thing was he came out a transfer after I did. So I was probably a month or 2, 3 months ahead of him.
Mm-hmm.
But we had only been together he'd been in my zone. He'd been in my area for a few weeks. Right. And we were on exchanges. So he wasn't my full-time companion. He was somebody that we had partnered up with, which we did from time to time. You get sick of the guy you're with for 6 weeks and you switch because you're in the same general vicinity, based on how they break it up. So we had not, we'd spent some preparation days together, some P days together. But we didn't really have much of a relationship. I didn't know him that well. He was from Pleasant Grove.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's all I really do remember. He was from Pleasant Grove, and I have, since moving to Utah, I've visited his gravesite.
Oh yeah.
To pay my respects, and I know that I was at fault, but the details, like all the details, I do remember doing CPR on him.
Sure.
I don't know his cause of death, or if he was, the CPR was doing anything, but like at that time, the instinct kicked in. I remember crawling back into the car and releasing his seatbelt and bringing him out. But,
oh wow.
The details are so spotty. I remember waking up in the ambulance as they tried to intubate me.
Oh wow.
This is rural Montana, so this was voluntary.
Yeah, it's on a dirt road.
Yeah.
Today was the first time I read the police report.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, while you say, I don't know if you mean you're at fault, but you were driving the car, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how many of us like literally I spent so many times on dirt roads driving 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
We would go to the top of the hill at my mom's, like near my mom's house, turn off the brakes, and then go down with no brakes. And if you hit the brakes, then you had to buy 6 packs or something like that.
Right.
We did some stupid stuff.
I mean, the thing, we were 20, 19-year-old kids that were given a car in the middle of nowhere. I think we were late somewhere. And so I do believe I was speeding. I don't really, like I said, I don't remember all the details. I remember what the police report said. They did give me a citation. I had to get a citation.
You did?
Yeah, it was like a $25 ticket, which in the context of like, sure, I had to bury a friend, somebody that I knew, and
would that have been the first time you did CPR?
No, it wasn't the first time I did CPR.
No,
I worked as a lifeguard.
You did?
In high school.
Okay.
The first time I did CPR, I had a young man jump off of the side of the pool and do a reverse cannonball. This kid was probably 8 or 10 years old and misjudged the distance between his forehead and the coping of the pool. Knocked himself out, but split his forehead, just peeled it down.
No way.
Yeah. And it was right under my lifeguard stand. So He wasn't awake, but we did get him out. As soon as I saw it happen, he was out. But
Okay.
yeah, it was the first time we did end up doing CPR because he was. I think when he hit that water, he immediately inhaled water.
Yeah.
So we resuscitated him. We held him in traction for like probably 15 minutes while the fire department showed up and
Oh wow.
took over. He made a full recovery. Had some stitches in his head.
Yeah, man, that's interesting. So I don't want to gloss over
No.
your whole thing with your mission companion. Did you do any work? Like, did you get any kind of like trauma treatment?
Yeah. Yeah. The church provided one counselor session.
One.
Yeah.
Did it help?
I think it was only one session because I was like, yep, I don't remember anything. Right. And ultimately the idea is I don't need to personalize that experience. It led to some knowledge, right? What did I learn? I learned that I probably shouldn't speed on dirt roads,
Right.
or I probably should, drive a little slower at night in rural Montana.
Yeah.
It led to knowledge, which led to my identity,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, you don't identify yourself as, like I said, when you and I had this conversation about what happened.
I tease myself. I get very sarcastic, and I do kind of hide it behind humor.
Sure.
You will often hear me say, "Yeah, I once killed a man."
Yeah.
And I know that's the kind of macabre. It's kind of just my own morbid personality, but I cared deeply about his family. His mom passed away from COVID just recently, and that's why I actually finally feel comfortable telling the story a little bit more.
Well, and here's the other thing is we could force you to attach feelings that you don't actually feel, right? I mean, there's death. Death is real. Death is not something that's just gonna miss everybody. Yeah. It's not like you're gonna be like, well, I'm gonna be the one guy that doesn't get any death in my life. Right? Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be the one man that doesn't see death or doesn't have to deal with death. You're going to have to.
Everybody has to.
And the best way for me personally, like in Vegas, when Misty and I were in Vegas, we are at the pool.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what was your experience? Like,
I've only had one, and it was just barely. It was the first time that it's ever happened to me. We're at the pool. We're getting ready to fly out. Mm-hmm. We had just gone to the pool just to hang out. I hear the lifeguards talking to each other. Hey, go check on him. And I'm just kind of like listening. I look over and there's a man in the water. He's underwater and his kid is playing around him. And I can hear the kids like counting. And I'm thinking, is he okay? He's just underwater holding his breath for his kid. Yeah. And the lifeguards nonchalantly going over there. And then the other lifeguards, more panic, check on him. Yeah. Pick him up. And I could just see that they weren't 100% positive. But I remember thinking, man, he can really hold his breath. That's pretty impressive.
It's been 15 minutes.
She grabs him. He turns over. He's blue and purple. And man, I jumped out of my seat. Mm-hmm. Misty said, I don't really remember very much except for when I jumped in the water and I grabbed him. And he was a big man. He was really big. Yeah. But I grabbed him and I picked him up. And when I picked him up, I went outside of the pool with his face up, and he was laying on top of me now. Oh. And he was big, and I couldn't move him. And the guys around me were like, get up from underneath him. And I'm like, I can't. Right. And they're like, you got to get up from underneath him. And I'm like,
how about you help move him?
I literally can't. Yeah. And then he's laying on me, and now we pull him out of the water, and the whole we do the CPR. There was a little bit of chaos going on there, and I don't believe that man made it. Oh, man. It was unfortunate. After talking to some friends, I hope he did. In my mind, sometimes I'm like, I have two thoughts. I'm like, no, I did the best I could. I'm okay with what happened for myself because I didn't sit around. And then other times I'm like, he lived a great life. He learned a lesson, and I don't know what happened because...
But go back. Like, how long were they doing CPR on him?
We were about 15, 20 minutes before the community fire department showed up.
Wow.
And then maybe another 5-10 minutes before the actual fire department came up. Me and 4 other men did CPR. I did 1 round, and I remember thinking, whoa. Right. Exactly what they talk about.
Right.
It is terrifying. You are scared. You are like, holy crap, I'm not doing this right.
Right.
I remember thinking, I'm not doing this right. I'm not doing this right. And then another man took over after my turn. And I was like, I should have stayed in there longer. But Jesse, who we've talked about before, he kind of gave me his
Yeah.
breakdown.
Yeah.
Because he's a fire department, he is nonchalant.
Yeah.
He's like, they die. Yep, people die.
Yep.
And you know, that's
he's got to deal with the face of it.
that's a part of life. You know, you did the best you could. Here's what you could have done better, maybe. And you only do one round of CPR. That's your job, is just do one round, and then another person takes over, then another person takes over. And at that point, if nobody's there, we got to do something different.
Yeah.
The AED didn't work
because he was wet.
Because he was wet. Maybe it just kept saying resume compressions, no shock needed. And I remember thinking, bull.
Huh. But so maybe you picked up a minor pulse.
No, Jesse said that it goes off of electric. Oh, can't remember the word he says, but he said that it probably wasn't a pulse, which means that they want that you need to get his heart going to give some sort of electric current. Then it would want to give a shock. It was the first experience that I ever had. The weird thing to me was they kick us out of the pool. I go shower, and Misty and I are like, well, what are we going to do now? And I'm kind of like in a daze, and she's like, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. I mean, nothing really happened to me. I mean, I tried my best, right?
Yeah.
She's like, how are you mentally? And I'm like, I'm okay. She was crying, of course, because what happened? She put herself seeing me.
Yeah. Okay.
And so
she didn't see the stud doing chest compressions. She saw you under the chest compressions.
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
She definitely, she had a little bit of both.
Okay, good.
But we were walking around. I had showered, and I went to the security to see if I needed to do a statement, and they were like, nope, we think we're good. And I'm like, okay, well,
okay.
Yeah, thanks. And then we walked by the pool, and she's like, the pool's open. You want to go back out there? And I'm like, do you? I'm thinking, are you okay with that? She's like, well, what else are we going to do?
Yeah.
We go out there, and besides me and the group of men and their families that were there, nobody else. I mean, everybody was just going about their business. They were in that little pool where the man was at, and we were like, what? This is a little awkward.
Somebody passed the whiskey.
Man, I got a little tuned up. I just was like, I'm going to drink.
Yeah.
I'm going to drink for a minute, and then I'm not going to process it. And came home, and I was able to like give her a little bit of feelings and little emotions that I had because it was a lot, first time I'd seen somebody dead. And then I talked to Jesse. I reached out to Jesse, and I reached out to Ray, and I just, man, for one, I thank them for what they do, because they're both in service in the line of fire with that kind of stuff. And then I just asked him, what should I do? What's the best course for me? And then Jesse said, if you're thinking about it a bunch, if you think about it more than a couple days, you have PTSD and you need to go talk about it.
Yeah.
And he goes, and for 2, talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be shy about it. Talk about it.
Right.
And I remember thinking, cool, I will. Yeah. Just like, you telling me your story, I remember thinking, yeah, talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's you have to talk about it.
I didn't realize how therapeutic it is. And I know I make that joke, but like, maybe that has been part of the reason that I've handled it so well all these years. I mean, it's been 20 plus years since that experience in my life. And granted, I would never want to ever experience it again. But one, I now know the metal I'm made of. I remembered CPR even after, having a major concussion.
Saying that's what I thought.
Right? Like you ran towards somebody in need.
Yeah.
Right. And you pulled them out of the pool. So now you kind of know where you measure up. So you can hold your head up high. You can hold your shoulders back and, carry yourself with some pride. Death is death. It happens to us all.
It is going to happen. And, I talked to one of my friends, and he said, you could do 2 things. You could think to yourself, this is never going to happen to me.
Right.
So I'm going to put it aside, and I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to just think that it happens to the next guy, and it's not going to happen to my family. Or you can take it head on, and you can be like, no, you know what? I'm going to live today so that I'm remembered 5, 6, 7 years on. My testimony and the way that I do things, the way that I handle myself, the way that I am, I'm going to leave a lasting mark on this world. And I think, that's how I think a lot of times. Like, I'm going I'm going to be Crazy Horse one day.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
going to be
yeah.
like talking about me one day.
Right. I think that is the most beautiful thing about witnessing death, right?
Yep.
I have very specific instructions for my death, but and I'm happy to share those. Uh, but when you experience those type of situations, you garner an appreciation for life.
Yep.
No need to delay anything.
No need to delay.
Go out and start that business, or go out and ask that girl
Ask the girl out, yeah.
or go out and buy the car you want if it's within your means, right?
Yeah.
Like, live your life. Life is meant for joy. Life is meant for joy.
Even if it's not in with your means, even if you're like, man, one day I'm just going to do this.
Right?
Like, man, have fun.
Live.
Yeah,
Life is meant
die.
for living.
You're dying.
We're all in the process.
Let's live.
Right? We're all in the process of decomposing.
I think that's so beautiful. I think that's the right way to look at it. Let's just live. Let's, like, life is heavy. Right? Everybody knows that. You're going to have work bullshit. You're going to have relationship bullshit. You're going to have other things that draw on you bullshit. But you know what else we're going to have?
Yeah.
We're going to have this beautiful, beautiful life that we lived. Man, I'll tell you this. The colors and the fall colors, dude.
I know
they're
amazing.
Firing this year.
This is exactly why the instructions to my children are to, when I die, I don't want a fancy funeral. I want you to celebrate my life.
Same.
Celebrate my life. Celebrate my accomplishments. Hopefully, I'm doing something that makes y'all proud.
Same.
Right. I want to be cremated.
Yeah. Same.
And then I want to be shot out of a t-shirt cannon at the top of Vail Pass.
That's it.
When the fall colors are just popping like they are now.
I implore you, if you are listening, they're not going to be like this for a while. They are
days.
Holy moly. We went up.
Maybe another week.
Oh, man. And fall is one of those like seasons. I think you and I talked about this last year. Misty was like talking about like fall clutter. We're going to like shed some stuff. We're going to like get rid of some things in the fall.
Oh, yeah.
But what happens is we tend to like start to gather in the fall.
Yeah.
You kind of need to declutter and nest. But man, the fall colors are on fire. Go out and look at them. Go out and take a trip. Don't sit inside looking at don't inside and think that tomorrow they're going to be the way they are. They are booming this year.
Perhaps stay off your bike if you're on Guardsman, or don't bring your tour bus on Guardsman.
Yeah, that was a weird thing, huh?
Right.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So death. It's one of those things. Let's talk about it. Let's man, Tyler and I, we're not trying to make it simple. We're not trying to make it like we're not trying to add jokes to it. We know it's heavy. We know that there's things that cause us grief, and death is one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But the person that died would not want you grieving the way that you do. I'm the same way. My kids know I ain't trying to be. Don't put me underground. Don't put me underground because I'm going to try to come out.
Yeah.
Let's cremate me. And mine is they're going to put me in Cabo a little bit. They know they're going to put me out in Cabo in the ocean. And then there's a couple spots in Ogden area that I really like. Nice. And, I think that everybody should talk about it. I think that Tyler and I have our own little stories, and we're not afraid to share them. But we just kind of wanted to make sure that, that, one, people are there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Two, opening up and talking is not seen as a masculine trait, but we're trying to reinvent that part of our life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think our experiences are relatively civilian compared to some of the stories that could be out there.
Agreed.
I definitely grew up, watching a generation of my peers fight in kind of forgotten war,
sure.
In Iraq and Afghanistan. And I've listened to some of the stories of the situations that those people are in. And you hear the stories of soldiers that are coming back with PTSD and taking their own lives. And, that it's incredibly tragic that there's those lasting impacts, but, understand that there are people there for you.
Agreed.
And whether it's just a friend, open up to us. I may not have had the same experience, but I can shut my mouth and I can listen and I can be empathetic.
Yeah.
And, if you need to work it out with somebody more professional, find a therapist. There's lots out there.
Don't keep it in.
Don't keep it in.
Yeah, and don't, like I said, man, live your life like you're a legend.
Live your life like
Write your own story that you want your great grandchildren to be passing on about you.
Right.
That's what you want. You want those kind of things, and generationally be like, I was that guy. I started it all. I'm Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
What you got coming up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, legend. What do we got going on? Training for the blue belt test.
Oh.
Finally have a date.
When is it?
November 4th.
Oh, perfect.
November 4th.
Cool.
Hoping to mint myself as a new blue belt.
Yeah.
We got a trip up to Heroes and Horses in Bozeman. We're going to be supporting the Heroes and Horses charity, fabulous charity, up in Bozeman.
Beautiful.
That's about it.
Good.
I'm kind of ready for ski season to start. Not ready for ski season to start. Starting to get cold. What about you? What do you got going
on? We're going to Colorado this weekend. We're going to go see Cody Jinks. That's down at Red Rocks.
Oh, nice. That'd be cool.
Man, wrestling season's kind of getting geared up, and we got a bunch of stuff going on. Keep an eye out for us, Park City Wrestling.
Yeah.
They're great, man. They're so happy to learn, and they're just happy to be around. They think Trip and I are like these just because Trip wrestled at Wasatch and I coached for Layton, who's number 1 in the state now. And then I coached for Wasatch, who's probably still pretty tough.
Got a pretty decent history, yeah.
Yeah, and Layton, man, I'm really proud of those guys out there, what they're doing and for that program. They're doing a good job out there, and I think that I was a little cog in the wheel that started that whole thing, which is kind of cool.
Absolutely.
So we got wrestling coming up, and then Tristan and I are trying to set out his competition schedule. We got that going on, and so just training hard. I've been working my butt off to get some accomplishments that I wanted to get, to tap some people that I wanted to tap. And they're coming along.
Good.
I'm pretty happy about it.
Good.
Yeah. So
good.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
We appreciate all of you guys. We appreciate your views. We appreciate your feedback. We appreciate just the fact that you share some time and some space with Tyler and I.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's any questions, make sure you reach out to us. You know where you can find us. Sundays, Park City Jiu-Jitsu, open mats. We train throughout the week. You can probably just come in there and ask if we're there or if we train there, and they'll know who we are.
Hit us up on social media. LostBoyScouts.com, Lost Boy Scouts on Instagram, all the places you get your socials.
Let's do it.
Yeah, Compassionate Gentleman as well.
That's right. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, you guys be good. Thank you.
Cheers, everybody.
Have a good one.
Rise up, no turning back.